Hey everybody, Adam here. I'd like to take a moment to dedicate this episode to my grandma, who introduced me to Sonic the Hedgehog and the Sega Genesis when I was 6. Thanks, Grandma. I hope you're still collecting the rings in heaven and swearing in Spanish when you miss one. Now, on to the show. Hit it. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Adam, the movie guy. Although for this show, I'm going to be the video game guy because the title tipped you off, and I'm going to be talking about one of the most loved video game franchises of all time, Sonic the Hedgehog. Specifically, I am going to name my top 5 favorite Sonic protagonists in the series, from least to most favorite, then my top 5 villains of the series, with maybe an honorable mention or two thrown in there. Then after that, I'm going to name my top 5 favorite songs from the Sonic the Hedgehog series. So everybody put on your best pair of running shoes, grab a chili dog, and get comfortable because here we go. Starting with my list of top 5 protagonists of the series, at number 5 is Amy Rose the Hedgehog. Amy debuted in the game Sonic CD in 1993, where she was rescued by Sonic and she fell in love with him. Amy is one of the most loved characters in the series for good reasons. She has a very sweet and caring and bubbly personality, but on the flip side, don't let that fool you whatsoever, because she will cave a motherfucker's head in with her Pico Pico hammer she's always carrying around with her. I have no fucking idea how. I just assumed it was some sort of pocket space cartoon logic and how she's able to pull it out literally out of nowhere, which I personally find really funny whenever she loses her shit and she starts swinging. Appearance-wise, her pink fur color makes her instantly recognizable, and she stands out even amongst other Sonic characters from a visual standpoint, and that is why she earns her place on the list. At number 4 is Miles Tails Prower, the Two-Tailed Fox. Tails is that little bro that always has your back no matter what, and he's one of the best hype men you could possibly have. His loyalty to Sonic is one of his most endearing qualities, hands down. Not to mention he's a scientific genius and pilot expert of Team Sonic. But don't think he can't throw down, because Tails can dish out some serious ass whippings for those dumb enough to underestimate him, despite him being one of the younger members of the Sonic gang. Tails is basically the Luigi to Sonic's Mario. Having one without the other just feels like something is missing. I've played damn near every mainline Sonic game, and the ones that don't at the very least mention Tails feel weird to me. Tails is just that important as a character. It's like when Batman is patrolling around Gotham without Robin or Batgirl. Yeah, sure, they can stand on their own, obviously, but it's just that much more special when they have their main partner with them. They feel complete, and that is why Tails gets the number 4 spot. At number 3 is Knuckles the Echidna. Was there ever any doubt? I mean, come on. Of course Knuckles was going to be on my top 5 favorite characters list. Knuckles made his debut in Sonic the Hedgehog 2 along with Tails in 1992. He is the definition of waking up and choosing violence, since this war-ready motherfucker will box anybody.
You hit my brother?
Yeah. I did more than that. I hit his head to the ground. He almost off the fucking life playing with me.
Oh, damn.
Knuckles is one of the physically strongest characters in the entire Sonic series, as well as being the guardian of the Master Emerald and his tribe, the Echidnas. But if Sonic and Tails get into some trouble, he will go out of his way to help his bros out and just start throwing hands with any poor bastard that steps up to him. One thing I hated that Sega was doing for a while was turning Knuckles into a fucking joke and brain-dead idiot for a few years, like in the Sonic Boom series, but finally, they went back to his OG characterization, large in part thanks to the live-action Sonic 2 film, and they got the man, the myth, the motherfucking legend Idris Elba to voice Knuckles. And the icing on the cake, I know in my heart of hearts, and so does my boy Julius, that somebody at Sega watches the YouTuber's channel of RDC World and saw their video game house series, which uses the song Knuck If You Buck, and said, well, that has to be Knuckles' theme. I mean, come on now. So, come the preview for Knuckles' live-action spin-off TV show for Paramount Plus, and they play that in the preview. That shit had me smiling ear to ear and laughing. Knuckles is such a tough badass, and that is why he is at the number 3 spot. Now, for the last 2 spots on the list, I want to say they're both on equal grounds, and I flip-flop constantly on who's number 1 and who's number 2. But as of my feelings right now, sitting at the number 2 spot is none other than Sonic the Hedgehog.
Wow, that's a pretty snazzy performance there. Sonic! Sonic the Hedgehog!
Not that irritating hedgehog again! Attack!
Sonic is one of the most legendary video game mascots on par with Mario, Link, Samus, Donkey Kong, and Pac-Man. His carefree, adventurous, chill attitude combined with his shit-talking he does to his enemies make him hands down an icon and one of the most loved video game characters ever. He sticks by his friends through thick and thin. He always steps in when he sees injustice. He's cocky, he's a wise ass, and no matter how dark things get, he will always be there to save the day. Also, every single intro cinematic cutscene with Sonic in the 3D games are just fucking glorious. With Sonic 06 intro I just showed at the beginning of this, and of course, the masterpiece that is the opening cutscene to Sonic Unleashed.
Sonic! I'm sorry. Really, look, go easy on me. I'll turn over a new leaf, I swear. Just give me a chance.
Well, this is new. Showing remorse, Eggman? If you played nice, I wouldn't have to break all your toys.
Now, onto my number 1 favorite protagonist in the Sonic the Hedgehog series, and that is none other than Shadow the Hedgehog.
Hail Shadow!
The ultimate life form. Shadow's life is one of love, tragedy, vengeance, and redemption. He was created by Dr. Gerald Robotnik from the blood of an alien and lived his life on the Ark, a space colony. He was meant to be the key in curing the doctor's granddaughter Maria, who suffered from a rare disease that threatened to end her life very early. Shadow and Maria grew up together, developing a strong bond and love for one another until tragedy struck when the military organization GUN raided the space colony and Maria was killed in the crossfire and Shadow was put in cryostasis for 50 years. When he awakes into the modern day and he teams up with Dr. Eggman, grandson of Gerald, cousin to Maria, and arch enemy of Sonic, to get revenge on humanity for what they did to Maria. After Shadow and Sonic nearly beat each other half to death, Shadow remembers his promise to Maria to not be humanity's destroyer, but its savior. So he teams up with Sonic to save the world, seemingly sacrificing himself in the process until his return, where he has continued to be an aloof ally to Sonic and the gang. The character development of Shadow the Hedgehog is just incredible. I know he's a bit of an edgelord, but he's so much more than that when you look past his dark, brooding exterior and his reluctant ally relationship with Sonic. I swear, when it comes to their relationship in particular, Shadow and Sonic can go from being very chill with one another to fighting each other to the death with very little provocation due to Sonic's more classical hero attitude and philosophy versus Shadow's more anti-hero, more cynical nature. I also love Shadow's relationship with Amy, who sees the good in him even when nobody else does, and Shadow lowers his guard around her, which I think is very endearing. Another thing I wanted to say about Shadow is the fact that Shadow uses guns and rides motorcycles is fucking hilarious to me. And the reason being, okay, this fucking guy is ridiculously strong and he doesn't need a gun to kill people. And he's fast enough to challenge Sonic. So the fact that he likes to ride bikes is just fundamentally funny to me, and it's just funny to see. And the reason why he does those things, well, because he looks cool as fuck and he knows it. The live-action Sonic the Hedgehog 3 film did Shadow true justice in his portrayal, and they got the perfect person to voice Shadow. I'm talking about my boy, Keanu Reeves.
Guns. Lots of guns.
Somebody, please get this man a gun.
Which leads me to the final thing I want to say about Shadow before moving on to the next segment. His relationship with Maria is my favorite aspect of his origin and how important it is to his character to this very day. The live-action Sonic 3 film absolutely knocked it out of the park, portraying their relationship, and their scenes together were my favorite parts of the entire movie for how heartwarming it was to how tragic it became with Maria's death. The actress that played Maria, Aaliyah Brown, was perfection. She was sweet, endearing, beautiful, and her relationship with Shadow was just so natural. Just check out their first meeting in the Sonic 3 movie. Aaliyah Brown killed it as Maria in that little moment of her playfully mocking Shadow's scowling, edgy face, and she drew that funny bunny face on the cryotube, made me instantly love her, and it's now the definitive version of Maria for me.
It's too cute. It's disgusting.
I argue this is the best portrayal of Maria since this portrayal really humanizes her compared to the games and anime, where she was seen as this almost angelic, godly figure since she was seen through Shadow's eyes and he puts her on a pedestal, but the movie portrays her as this very human, adorable, sweet young girl whose life was tragically cut short due to the callousness of some trigger-happy fucking idiots.
Move this man!
That motherfucker is probably one of, if not the most hated characters in the franchise for that alone. If I existed in the fictional world of Sonic, God himself would need to hold me back from beating the bricks out of that walking apology from the abortion clinic, because I would go full Nancy in that motherfucker and it would be on site immediately.
Oh, brother, someone get this man the therapy he needs.
That about wraps up this first segment here. Let's move on to the next, where I list my top 5 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog villains. I'm not going to go nearly in depth in comparison to my favorite protagonist segment since, well, I pretty much blew my load sucking off Shadow. So let's move on to my top 5 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog villains. Alright, getting into the top 5 Sonic the Hedgehog villains. At number 5, I got a villain most people aren't aware exists since he comes from the Archie Sonic comic that I have to cover someday because the lore is absolutely fucking insane. This comic ran from 1993 to 2017. I was so freaking bummed it got canceled due to some behind-the-scenes bullshit fuckery, where they did a reboot via a crossover with Mega Man, which erased a lot of characters from existence due to the ownership rights holder. Then they just canceled the title anyway. Now, last time I checked, IDW Comics owns the rights and they have their own Sonic comic that I still have to check out, but that's a whole nother episode for another time. Getting back to the subject at hand, at the number 5 spot for my favorite Sonic villain who is from the Archie Sonic comic run is Scourge the Hedgehog. Now, this asshole started as a somewhat generic anti-Sonic, and that's what he was called, or Evil Sonic. Very original, I know. Anyway, he hailed from a parallel world where Sonic and his friends had evil versions of themselves. He started off looking just like Sonic, blue fur and everything, but with shades, a leather jacket, and boots to make himself look cooler. Until finally, due to some comic book logic and him fucking around with the energy of the Master Emerald, his fur gets dyed green, he gets scars on his chest, and he renames himself Scourge. My favorite aspect of the character is that he wants to be better than Sonic in every way. He wants to be faster, cooler, tougher, and he's sure as shit more of an asshole because not even his quote-unquote friends like this prick. But his design really pops and he's a fun character whenever he shows up, so he earns his spot at number 5. At the number 4 spot is somebody who's not a major villain exactly, but he's a little enemy in the Sonic games who's appeared in damn near every OG Genesis game and a good chunk of the 3D ones. He's basically the Sonic equivalent to the Goomba from the Super Mario Bros. Franchise. I'm talking about Crab Meat. You guys know, that little robot crab fucker that can shoot tiny missiles out of his back. I was always fond of him as an enemy in the games, and the Archie comic made me love the little guy because in the very early parts of the Archie comic Sonic run, it was a much more comedic, gag-based comic book series before they got very serious and very fucking convoluted with the storylines and the character drama. Anyway, one Crab Meat in particular was elevated to being the personal assistant to Robotnik, and his back and forth with him was genuinely funny and memorable, so I put Crab Meat in the number 4 spot. I know that's kind of fucking wild putting him over Scourge, but childhood memories reading the earliest Sonic comic made me really fond of the little robotic crustacean, so number 4 he is. At the number 3 spot is Chaos from Sonic Adventure. I'll never forget playing Sonic Adventure 1 for the first time and first seeing Chaos. His design immediately struck me, and I love how he's this powerful water abomination thing who gets new forms with more Chaos Emeralds he consumes like he's fucking Cell sucking up the androids from Dragon Ball. And that final fight with him was really fun in both Sonic Adventure and the remix of it they did in Sonic Generations. So that's why Chaos gets his spot at number 3. At the number 2 spot is the Mad Doctor himself, Dr. Ivo Robotnik, better known by the nickname Sonic and his friends refer to his fat ass to roast him, Dr. Eggman. There was no way in hell that he wasn't going to be on the list. I mean, come on now. He is the Sonic the Hedgehog villain. His scientific genius with his robots and gigantic airships, space stations, battle mechs are so fucking cool, and he's very flexible as a villain in regards to how comedic or how serious he can be. In some universes of the Sonic franchises, he's a comedic cartoon villain. Others, he's a psychotic, evil dictator who's a menace to the whole planet. And I love it both interpretations. Because you can never underestimate this butterball mustache motherfucker. He could be the biggest menace in the room when he feels like it. Now, if it wasn't for the one other character on my list, he would be sitting at the top. But he gets an extremely respectable placement at the number 2 spot as my second favorite Sonic the Hedgehog villain. Now on to the number 1 spot for my favorite Sonic villain, and that is none other than the metallic menace himself, Metal Sonic. This motherfucker is a powerhouse who can go blow for blow with Sonic and match his speed, along with shooting plasma energy blast bombs and missiles out of his asshole. Oh, and he can use the Chaos Emeralds to get his own super form, just like Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails, and fucking Shadow. I have no idea how, given he's an inorganic creation, but he somehow fucking did it because he felt like it.
I didn't even think that was possible. Well, I made it possible.
He is super intelligent and possesses an AI chip that gave him self-awareness to the point where he overthrew Eggman and took over his empire for a bit, trying to create his own robotic kingdom before finally being stopped. His hatred of Sonic and his obsession with proving his superiority is unmatched. If you guys thought Scourge had wannabe syndrome, he ain't shit in comparison to Metal Sonic. The biggest difference between Scourge and Metal Sonic is this. Between the two, Metal Sonic has the intelligence and will to back his shit up, while Scourge keeps getting in his own dumbass way since he's a cocky, arrogant fuck. Metal Sonic is cold, calculated, and completely devoid of any morality whatsoever. That is why robotic villains are one of my absolute favorite types of villains in fiction. You can't reason with a machine. You can't appeal to their heart since they don't have one. They can't be enticed or intimidated. They exist to serve their primary function, which in Metal Sonic's case is destroy Sonic and his friends. And when they grow beyond their programming, we see what happens with Metal Sonic. He becomes the biggest threat on the planet like he did in Sonic Heroes, where it took Super Sonic, Knuckles, and Tails fighting together against Metal Sonic just to hurt him and eventually bring him down. When he grew beyond his programming and expanded his MO from just killing Sonic to killing every organic being on the planet, Metal Sonic was really giving me Android 16 vs. Cell vibes from Dragon Ball Abridged.
Now, if you'll excuse me, I will eliminate Cell.
I thought you were only programmed to kill Goku.
This cell is comprised of 10.78% of Son Goku's DNA. These parameters are acceptable.
Metal Sonic is the Mecha Godzilla of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. When he shows up, somebody's getting bodied, and chances are it's whoever he's fighting. And that is why he earns the spot as my number 1 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog villain. Well guys, that's all for the villain segment. Let's move on to the final segment of the episode, where I name my top 5 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog songs. Starting with number 5. Now, it's a 2-for-1 since I could not decide which one I like more since they're equally classic Sonic songs to me. I'm talking about the Green Hill Zone theme from the very first Sonic the Hedgehog level in the original game on the Sega Genesis. This song, along with its sister song it shares the number 5 spot with, is the song people first think of in their heads when thinking of the Sega Genesis Sonic era. Sharing the number 5 spot with Green Hill Zone is Emerald Hill Zone theme from the Sonic the Hedgehog 2 game on the Sega Genesis as well. These levels are so similar to one another at first glance, you would think they were the same exact location, and Emerald Hill almost feels like a remake of the first game's level, which is not a bad thing by any means, since Green Hill Zone is such an iconic first level in a video game, and Emerald Hill Zone is too, just like both theme songs for these two levels earned the number 5 spot for me. At the number 4 spot is City Escape, named after the City Escape level in Sonic Adventure 2 for the Sega Dreamcast. This song is such a fucking blast to listen to while you're playing as Sonic hauling ass away from the gun organization trying to recapture you. The Sonic Generations game came up with 2 other equally amazing remixes, but I had to put the OG over the others since you just can't beat a classic. Although I highly recommend you listening to the classic and modern remix versions from Sonic Generations because they fuck pretty hard too, not gonna lie. Okay, I'm gonna have to stand up for this one. Now, everybody listening, I need you to kindly and respectfully stop whatever the fuck you are doing if you are just listening to this and actually watch the screen similar to the Shadow and Maria movie clips I showed earlier, and hopefully was allowed to keep in if YouTube didn't decide to fuck me in the ass and force me to take it out due to copyright bullshit. They should know by now Big Daddy Adam does whatever the fuck he wants and doesn't follow the rules.
Please don't call yourself daddy.
And I don't care what the fuck you are doing, whether it's eating, working, I don't give a shit if you just slid into a fresh piece of pussy. Look at the fucking screen for the next 2 minutes because the number 3 spot is Sonic Boom from the Sonic CD game. That song and intro is fucking glorious. Play that shit. The song is catchy, it's incredible, and the animation done by Japanese studio Toei, who's famous for a lot of anime shows, is a match made in heaven when paired with Sonic the Hedgehog, and it's one of my favorite art styles of the character. I hope they do something like that in the future. Now on to the number 2 spot, and it's a song you guys already heard much earlier in the show, and it hypes up the MVP of the entire franchise, and that song is All Hail Shadow, Heroes Rise Again! All Hail Shadow, baby. This song goes so fucking hard, it's practically bending me over and giving me back shots, or what I like to refer to as the Abby from Last of Us Part 2 treatment.
Oh, fuck.
Need I say more? To quote Big Sam, and now, ladies, gentlemen, and that beautiful rainbow in between. And also whatever the fuck I am.
Look at his face! No. Look at his fucking face! Sorry, that's just his face.
I love roasting myself. I mean, it's just too easy. Anyway, on to the final entry for the show and my number 1 favorite Sonic the Hedgehog song. And that, people, is Live and Learn from Sonic Adventure 2. This song just can't be beat in my insane, manic, but humble opinion. It's just that good. And when they busted this song out for the Sonic the Hedgehog 3 movie for Sonic and Shadow's team up, I was smiling from ear to ear. and I immediately after the movie texted my boy Julius saying they played the song.
One more thing I learned is that when you really screw something up, you can't fix it on your own. Gotta go fast.
Don't tell me you've got a catchphrase.
That's right, new Hedgehog, and everyone loves it. Ready to recycle some tin cans?
Just trying to keep up.
Damn fucking straight. Sega and Paramount have just been nailing it with the live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movies. The voice casting for the Sonic characters has been excellent. The live-action Dr. Robotnik being played by Jim Carrey, who is as close to a real-life cartoon character existing in real life as you could possibly get. I mean, that as the highest form of a compliment, because that man is just a worldwide treasure. And the double casting and comedy of him playing his own grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, was also glorious. I am so excited for Sonic the Hedgehog 4 and how they're finally bringing in Amy Rose since she appeared in the end credits scene of Sonic 3. I read that the studio is looking for actresses right now to hire to play her voice, and if they want to keep it authentic to the character and really capture Amy's super sweet but flips her shit and starts bashing skulls in with a fucking hammer personality that we love so much, I really think they need to get someone who actually is close to the character in age, at least to a certain degree. There's 3 young actresses who come to my mind who I think could do Amy Rose justice. One is McKenna Grace, who played damn near every young version of a female character in so many films and TV shows. It was a running joke all the way until she aged out of that, which makes me feel so fucking old, since I remember when she was the young Sabrina Spellman for the Netflix show. I freaking blink, and now she's been in 2 Ghostbusters movies, and she's almost freaking 20. Cue my inner thoughts when I look in the mirror after finding that out.
You ancient sack of shit, go back to the nursing home.
And the second young actress I think could do a great job, and she's really on the rise right now, is actress Evie Templeton, who is really blowing up right now after playing Agnes in season 2 of Wednesday. Her character of Agnes on the show starts off as one you don't trust the fuck all, and she seems shady as hell, but then you very quickly start loving her, and she ended up stealing the show for the entire season. And when you have 2 other lead actresses with such a high caliber in Jenny Ortega's Wednesday and Emma Myers as Edith, oh, and of course you also have Catherine Zeta-Jones as Mommy Morticia Adams, that feat is out of this world. Side note, Evie Templeton is also about to appear as Laura in the Return to Silent Hill movie, so everybody go out and support not just the Silent Hill series because they're making a comeback, but also support Evie Templeton, since I'm telling you all, she's going to do big things in the future. I'm seeing A-list potential. Now, as for the third actress who I think could do Amy Rose justice, and it's a name I just mentioned actually, and a co-star of Evie Templeton, and that is Emma Myers, who famously played Edith Sinclair on Wednesday. It was also in the Minecraft movie. This woman played a character on Wednesday who's so sweet and such a ball of sunshine. Every time she was on screen, I became diabetic, and that is just amazing. She also showed that she could do cute anger, which is exactly the kind of energy Amy Rose needs.
I bet the reason Sonic stayed back on that other planet was because he couldn't stand to be with you anymore! Amy's so hot-headed, but now she's hot all over. Perhaps we should say we are sorry.
She's the one who's gonna be sorry if she messes with me. You better cool off, Cupcake. We've got your hammer up here so you can't touch us.
Another one! She has more hammers than a hardware store!
Don't
because Sonic dumped her. I was not dumped.
Oh yeah, then how come Sonic's hiding from you on another planet?
Holy shit on a sandwich, Amy's a fucking beast. She chucked that fucking Pico Pico hammer so hard it rocked Eggman's ship. There's a very good reason to be afraid of Amy when she pulls out the hammer. And I love how Knuckles was watching this whole thing go down, and he was probably thinking, fuck, I'm gonna have to save Eggman from Amy. Moving on from Amy, they also had multiple Metal Sonics in the same end credits scene, so I'm stoked and hopeful that the Prime Metallic Menace is going to be in part 4, wrecking everyone's shit. And finally, let's not forget, they showed my boy Shadow is still alive, surviving his fall from space and crashing on Earth, just like in the games.
People keep asking if I'm back. I'm thinking I'm back.
Well guys, this is the end of the show. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I had an absolute blast talking about one of the video game franchises I hold dear to my heart. It makes me think of my grandma fondly, since she loved to play the first 3 Sonic games on the Sega Genesis, which after she passed away, I actually got ownership of, and I still have it to this very day. It still works too. This has been Adam the Video Game Guy, wishing you all well, and I'll see you next episode.